Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the Resilience Podcast. Today I'm here with Josh, and we're excited because it's actually our 10-year anniversary this month, which is super exciting. And this particular episode, we decided to kind of take a trip down memory lane and revisit some of the greatest moments that we had, but also hopefully provide some value with some big lessons we learned in entrepreneurship and just doing this together.
Yeah, super excited for this one. Sure, there's going to be a lot of funny stories and things that we remember, kind of riffing off the last 10 years. First thing I wanted to talk about is that I get this question a lot, and I don't think we've talked about it. Maybe we have talked about it on the podcast, but a lot of people, especially new people, ask us how we got started. How did Resilience start? You want to talk about that? Me and Andrew knew each other from high school since grade 10. Andrew moved to Markham, and we became friends quickly and kept in touch through high school, through university, and then we had graduated university, moved on to our kind of first jobs. And why don't you take it from there? Where we were at in life, and we were working pretty close to each other. Why don't you tell us?
Yeah, you touched on it really quick, just kind of growing up together. But the quick little story, because I'm sure there'll be a few of them today, just to encourage Josh and just let the hearers know how good of a friend he is. When I moved to Markham, this isn't a sob story, but it's a real story. I moved to Markham, and my family moved from Scarborough. I grew up, born and raised in Scarborough, and we decided to move to Markham for a couple years for the end of my high school. There's a really good football program up there, things like that, a couple other things with my family. It made more sense for my family as well. And I moved in grade 10, and I didn't know one person in the high school. It was a big high school too, right? It was 2,500 people, 3,000 people, something like that.
Yeah.
And September was the start of school, and I think all the way till October, maybe the end of September, I used to walk around the neighborhood and eat lunch alone because I didn't know anyone. And I was a pretty shy kid. I didn't know anyone. I wasn't, no one knew I could play sports at that point, and that's how I made friends. So it was tough, man. And I didn't know anyone for the first couple of weeks, and I found it a little tough to make friends. And it was actually a culture shock in some ways, moving from Scarborough to Markham. It was very different in some ways. So it was a big adjustment for me. And Josh, you were the first person that extended yourself to me and said, "Hey man, come sit with us in class and come, what's up, man?" And it made me come out of my shell, and it made me feel welcome, and the rest is history. So that was the first moment I think you and I touched base, and really the inception of Resilience in some ways.
Yeah. And that was such a funny class. I know the class, and I we've talked about this. I don't even remember if I said that in person. ICQ memories are blurred, but we had then that's where the friendship was born. And then I started actually working out before you. I remember
I didn't even touch weights, man.
You didn't touch weights until like grade 12, but I was always into weights at like grade 10.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we're gonna fast forward a little bit because we can go on a lot of
stories.
really funny high school stories, but we won't go there. Why don't we go right before the how we started Resilience? So I had just graduated from Teachers College and was looking for a job. I couldn't find a job in teaching. It was a tough time for teaching, and Andrew was working at City Hall.
Yeah, I just got back from Europe playing semi-pro football in France, actually, and came back and got a job with the mayor of Toronto and was working at City Hall. And Ryerson and City Hall were so close, so we used to just, let's meet for lunch and let's just get out of our jobs for an hour and a half, because neither of us really liked our jobs.
So I got a job. I got a job at Ryerson, and Andrew was at City Hall, so we were really close. And every day we would meet for lunch and talk about life. And we had been keeping up like since high school, pretty much. Like even though you were in France for a little bit, I was at Guelph. We had done different things, but we always kept in touch. So we would meet. I remember I used to wear like nice shirts at the very beginning. I was so jazzed for my new job, and then every week, like, I'll have you dress down more and more and more.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Kind of.
I think you wore a suit one day,
and complaining more about like how I didn't like what I was doing. I wasn't feeling challenged. And I don't know if you were.
Typical post grad things, people go through when they're in their mid-20s or whatever, kind of figuring out what they want to do, especially coming out of a sports background. Really tough transition, and
Yeah.
so we'd meet. Yeah.
And I think we were gymming together in the morning. Weren't we?
Yeah, we used to go to Good Life on Yonge Street, like a Yonge and Dundas Square. There's a Good Life there.
Yeah.
We used to work out together. Yeah.
We were pumping iron there. And so, yeah, we just, my friend Matt was doing, and I think I've told this story on the podcast. Group training was not a thing. I had any, other than CrossFit, which was still like very, very new. Coming from like just a regular gym background, I didn't even know too much about CrossFit at the beginning, but group training wasn't a big thing. My friend started doing basketball training, which was building up, and he was training teams.
Yeah.
And I was telling you, we should train people together. And just I remember right before this too, because the memories are coming back to me as I'm like telling this story. Remember we were watching Greg put stuff, and I was like, we should start an online thing.
I do remember that. I do. I used to be subscribed to his stuff.
Yeah, and I was telling you like, oh, we should do an online thing, and I'm still trying to get that going.
Yeah.
But so we would meet, and group training wasn't a big thing then, and we would discuss how we didn't like our jobs and we weren't like happy with the way things were going in terms of career. So I said maybe we should start our own thing. And then that took us to, did it go to Good Life right away?
It went to Good. Well, we were kind of running some kind of like group classes I think in the park a couple times, and then at Good Life we tried a couple, and we tried the personal training route while we were figuring that out.
Yeah,
and that was just like that was a big no. Working at sort of a corporate gym and personal training, and it was very wasn't my style. Well, personally, wasn't my style. Like kind of the sales side to it and things like that. And it was at that time we were kind of experimenting, running some classes, and I knew right away it's group training for me.
Yeah,
and I think you did too. And at that point, there was a girl that I played varsity sports with at U of T. She played soccer and I played football. And I think she kind of saw what we were sort of doing because we had started some social media. And she reached out and she said, hey, I got a spot here at Monarch Park. Would you guys be interested in running some classes here?
Yeah.
And I think it was the next day, which is this is where the story gets pretty cool. I think we were just like trying to figure out what to do next. Yeah. And you came up to me. This was cool. This is a moment that I will never forget. I was like, this guy's, let's go. It was a ride or die moment when I looked at you. I was like, yes, man, this guy's got some And you come up to me and said, let's get out of here. We were at Good Life. And you came up to me and you said, it's maybe not a proud story, but we're just being honest, But we basically we walked out and we said, it's time to go. And on that spot, we pretty much, I think I hope we finished the shift.
No, I think we finished the shift. But I remember you telling me, I can't leave my job right now. My dad's going to kill me, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, come on, man. Let's freaking go. What are we doing here?
Yeah. It was in the locker room in the gym, and you had that conversation,
screaming at
which
you.
Was great. We got into our first argument as business partners. And yeah, we left, man. And we went all in pretty much right away, not knowing what we were doing. We had a meeting with the Monarch Park I guess it was the owner or the manager there, and we kind of solidified a deal. Now, this is where it does get a little dicey here. Yeah. We decided to, let's go all in. And I remember we bought this whiteboard at, I think it was Grand & Toy. Is that a place where?
Yeah, that used to be a place.
Grand & Toy or something. And I smashed a big whiteboard on my wall. And we made a map of East York and all these streets. And we said, where are we going to flyer? We gotta pick a launch date of our first group training class. Because we kind of struck a deal with Monarch Park that we would run a class Monday night, 1 hour, Wednesday night, 1 hour, and Saturday morning, 1 hour. So we had 3 hours lined up, and we went all in with these 3 hours, never running a class offsite of just like in an actual building other than the park, and we went for it.
And I remember we sat together and we made a brochure, and I can find that brochure. Actually, I should find it and show it. And at the time, I was so proud of it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so sick. And looking back at it, it's just completely awful. But the funny thing about that poster is I remember I messaged I was just passionate. You're just so passionate at the beginning. You want to get it going. I messaged everyone I knew on Facebook, plastering it out, and a lot of people shared it, and we got, I don't know, like it was talking about our first class. We got like maybe like 18, 19 people at our first class.
Yeah, family and friends.
Yeah.
Family and friends. Yep.
And I remember, do you remember going to my house when I lived with my dad and we're making our first workout together?
Yeah.
And we're arguing about the workout.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. This is, yeah.
Yeah, and that's really how it all started. And then the evolution of just being at Monarch Park and starting with 3 hours a week and really turning into multiple classes a day. That's how it started. And what's interesting about that is, this podcast episode, we're going to really get into some of the lessons we learned and hopefully give people some nuggets of things that we made mistakes with, that hopefully people listening might have an opportunity not to make that mistake if they hear what we're saying. And we actually were in Monarch Park, and there was 3 other fitness companies using the space, and we were changing on a dime to run our class and get out of the studio on time for the other class to start, which were sort of similar style of training and classes and group classes. So that was such an interesting journey, and we stuck to our guns and continued to do what we thought was best. And eventually the first company left. They just couldn't, I guess they just didn't want the competition. And then there was a pretty predominant company that's still around today that it was us and them.
They had a satellite location there, and they had a main location somewhere else. So
yeah,
I want to tell a funny story about the funny story about the.
You had to come a little closer to the mic.
Oh, sorry. The funny story about that time was, like you said, that predominant company had the space, I think like 6 to 7, and we maybe had a 7.
7 to 8 or 5 to 6, I forget.
Yeah, we were right after, and we always used to do 2 classes. So what we'd have to do, one person goes in right at 7. The class starts at 7. Nothing is set up. One person goes in, sets up the whole workout. Other guys warming up. Do you remember talking to each other during the warm up? And are you done? Are you ready? Are you ready? So one of us is like prolonging the warm up if we need, doing whatever we have to do to get everything set up. And we get it set up. We come in. The other guy explains the workout, and that's how we ran our workouts for. I don't even know how long.
It was wild, man. It was just such a entrepreneurial kind of grind, kind of go all in and figure it out as you go, which is what we wanted to talk about on the podcast today. So that's how it all started. You fast forward 10 years down the road, we're in Ajax now, Pickering, Ajax, and East York, and we have a team of, I think there's 12 coaches, if I'm not mistaken, including you and me. So it's been an amazing journey. So thankful for the people around us, the coaches around us, and there's just a lot of lessons that we can share today. So
one of the lessons that I know, like, for anyone like starting a business is like, one of the things that I've always had since the beginning was like this belief that we had something special, even when it was like that, and it was like, no, we have something, we got to keep going. We got to keep working at this. And it's always been something that I've felt right from the get-go, even when it was kind of very disorganized and not nearly to the level it is today. I still believed. I think belief is such a powerful thing, right? You need to believe to like keep progressing and get it done. But I wanted to ask you a couple of things, just in terms of entrepreneurship. So, having gone through 10 years of running a business, what are some things that you wish you knew a little bit earlier? That you would give advice maybe to someone starting out a business? Maybe it doesn't have to be in fitness, but what are some things that you wish you knew earlier in the process of growing the business?
There's a lot that I wish I knew earlier. But that being said, I think that's just the natural part of entrepreneurship and actually growing a business, is that you can't hide from that. You're gonna learn some things that you never knew.
Of course.
I mean, that's just inevitable, and I'm glad for that. I think one thing I would say is it's okay to be on an island. It's okay to be really, truly passionate and have that conviction and belief for something that you're creating when no one else can see it.
Yeah.
And I think I knew that before, especially playing sports when you're competing with some really great athletes, but you got to know, you alluded to it with belief. Like I knew that I could be the starting quarterback, but like you're playing, you're kind of fighting for a spot with these other amazing athletes. But there's like something, you're on an island, deep down inside that no one else knows.
Yeah.
And you got to step out and win that job. It's the same thing with entrepreneurship that I wish I knew I even a little bit more, because I went through some heartache and pain just like you. We've both been through some moments where it has been an isolated road in moments over the 10 years where you have to face yourself in the mirror and say, do I really believe this can happen? Am I really all in here? Yeah. And that's a very sobering moment that someone can tell you that's going to happen on the road to entrepreneurship. And I wish I knew that earlier, but it's just, you just got to go through those moments. And I'm still going through those moments.
Probably happens more even maybe today.
Probably more today. The difference today is that I'm married to a wife who is very supportive in those moments, and she doesn't really sway me either side.
Yeah.
She just encourages me in those moments of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And obviously my relationship with God, just having that privilege and that opportunity to pray and wait and think, and also just that peace inside.
So explain that a little bit more to viewers. How do you think that helps you in something that's in life that is so uncertain and nothing, you can't control everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe that God is like a genie in a bottle and just gives you whatever you want, but believe that my relationship with God, He's here, He's in me, and I'm walking through all of these things with Him. Mm-hmm. And I can make mistakes and everything, but there's a peace inside me because of Him. So I will be walking through decisions, and maybe I'll make a mistake, but maybe it doesn't feel right before, and I look back, I'm like, I didn't feel fully right, and I don't believe that just comes from my mind, and I believe that's right here.
Yeah.
It doesn't make things perfect, so that's where it comes from, man. Mm-hmm.
Wicked.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, man, and then another thing I would say that I wish I knew was, you're gonna be broke. There's gonna be moments where you're really broke.
Yeah.
Even down the road.
Yeah.
So is your passion and your belief and the excitement of what you're building stronger than your willingness to be broke?
Yeah.
Which it is, and I'm thankful for that, because if it wasn't, I don't think I would be doing what I'm doing today, because to be honest with everyone, it's like still there's moments of being very thin right now. Yeah. And it's the currency of like passion and everything we've talked about on the podcast that is worth more. There's more value to me than maybe money. Now that I have kids and a wife, and I got a place and I got bills to pay, money's definitely very important, but the passion is still it's even higher than that for me.
It's funny. One of the things I learned is, like, I remember someone telling me, businesses take at least 3 years to get off the ground and blah, blah, blah. And I remember this was right at the beginning, and I was thinking, like, this is not going to take 3 years to get it off the ground. We're going to be flying in a year. Yeah. And, like, it's so funny how, like, things have evolved, and you look back and you're like, man, I can't believe we were there. But it does maybe take longer. Or I don't know. In our experience, it took long. I took longer than I thought at some points. Right? It's been a long journey, and a lot of effort, a lot of tears, a lot of sweat, a lot of passion. Mm-hmm. But I just remember someone saying that to me, and I think I think I still would have taken the journey, but like if I knew it would, like knowing the journey now. But I remember thinking, no, we're gonna explode in like a year.
Yeah.
We just
my last sort of answer to this, I'll build on what you're saying, is more in entrepreneurial and business terms. One thing I wish someone told me was there's different industries in business, and there's something called the service industry. Yeah. And what we're doing is essentially providing a human to human service. Yeah. So it's very, very relational. It's extremely relational and emotional. And that is very different than a transactional industry where you're talking and exchanging numbers or goods and products for money. we're exchanging with our clients or members a service and time for essentially money,
Yeah.
right? Or they're investing in a service. So when they come in the door, it is relational. And that's what I'm most passionate about. That's why it's not inauthentic. But in business, most businesses are based on, I'm going to buy this phone. And once I buy this phone, there's not much of any communication once I buy this from Apple, except for maybe to service it.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to someone on the phone that I don't know to fix my phone or to give me advice on how to use this app.
Yeah.
Whereas every single day, we're in the trenches with the people. We're building something together. Not only are you and me building something, but we're building something with everyone together. So when people are invested with their time, I would say most of all, and then also money and finances, and then prioritizing their family and things around that, they are going all in with these very important things to them. And then they come into our presence in the gym and the thing that we're offering them. And it's not just a building or gym equipment that we're offering them. We're offering them what the service that we're providing. So I wish someone told me.
Well, you had a lot. I think you had a good role model in that because, like, your dad.
Absolutely.
You watch your dad do that.
Absolutely.
For his whole entire life, right?
Absolutely. I would attribute a lot of my being preparedness from watching him do that as a kid growing up. He was very relational.
Yeah.
Extremely, like very. His ability to talk to people and make them feel comfortable and ask them questions. It wasn't a strategy for him.
Yeah.
It was always authentic.
Yeah.
And it still is today.
Yeah.
It's truly, I was blessed to see that growing up.
Yeah.
So I took a lot in from that. And the biggest lesson I would learn, I would say to somebody now, if there was a young kid that kind of wanted to get in this industry, I would say, it's gotta be real. Mm-hmm. If you don't really care, if you don't really actually care about people, about the people that are coming into your door, this isn't for you. You got to really want to see your people win. You got to really want to see them change and feel cared for and leave different than the way they came in. That's why they're there. So if you don't have that desire and if you're really in it for yourself, or to make a paycheck, it's probably not the right industry for you. I would say start building computers or start inventing something. And that's fine, if that's what the person is. So that's a huge lesson. I was already on that path.
Yeah.
Just thankful to sort of learn that even more refined as I went through that.
Awesome.
How about you? Did you kind of know that going into a service industry? Sorry, because you were already. You're very emotionally intelligent as far as being able to understand people and connect with people. It's one of your gifts, right? So you kind of were already on that path.
On the one thing I didn't expect that I was a huge surprise to me is, like, especially now that I'm feeling like later on, maybe not so much at the beginning, but as the gym is growing a little bit, I've always been like, find it pretty easy to talk to people one-on-one, but like I never expected having to think about the community as a whole.
Yeah.
And like balance that.
Yes.
And like think about that. It's never was on my radar at the beginning. It's just like, just worry about the one-on-one, right?
Yeah.
And treat people with respect and kindness and make them feel good and feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But like the kind of thing that I never expect when I was like started this was like, sometimes you have to think about the community as a whole.
Yeah.
And there's like a whole culture to it and a brain, and not a brain to it, but like it's like a living, breathing thing.
It is. It's like a plant. It's like like you said, it's a tree that's growing, right? And there's roots to it. There's branches. There's a vine. There's leaves.
It could be very healthy at times.
Yes.
You can feel it when it's not healthy.
Yeah, and
never thought about that.
You have to water it. You have to protect it from sunlight. You have to give it sunlight. So and even right now, 10 years in with 2 locations, that's something that we're thinking about, and we were having sort of seasons of the tree is growing or the tree is it needs more water. We're figuring that out.
Yeah, and actually, like when we have conversations about making decisions, we think about this tree a lot.
Totally. Well, the tree is I think it's people.
Yeah.
Again, it goes
But
back
as a whole.
It goes back to this is a people industry. This is about people.
Uh-huh.
This is not about giving them the best workout ever. This is about people.
Yeah.
Their emotions are involved, their families are involved, their time and commitment is involved. So it's a big lesson, something we've learned a lot. That being said, one other thing I'll add to this, and kind of going to the next question is, how much has your life experiences previous to resilience helped you in today's experiences with growing the business? Because I could really go on about that to encourage somebody that's maybe listening. Because back 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you might not have known the things that you're learning and going through are actually to help equip you for today. So I would ask you that question first.
Can you repeat it one more time?
So the things that you went through previous to actually starting resilience. So for example, maybe some family things you've been through, or teachers college, or, even I would even say, friendships and things that you've learned with friendships, or, old jobs. Those things were preparing you in a sense for resilience today.
Yeah. One of the things that sticks out to me that I think prepare me a little bit is sometimes when I was a little bit younger, I could be a little bit shy. So this being such a relational business, like I have it really hard for people that may feel uncomfortable when they walk in the door. So, they feel maybe a little bit anxious or something like that about group fitness and stuff. So I really have a heart for those people. I think that feeling like that sometimes as a kid, maybe in elementary school and stuff like that, and having moments where you just feel uncomfortable, I'm a little bit more sensitive to that. So kind of always thinking about that when I'm in a group of lots of people.
That's good. That's good.
Thinking about everyone or trying to do the best I can. So that's one of the things that really sticks out to me as a foundational thing that I always try to bring to the group and the class, and think about everyone as a whole. Cause I've been there where you just feel uncomfortable and you don't like feeling like that. So I'm always trying to make people feel good and not anxious.
That's good.
I wanted to ask you, and okay, I was going to talk about this because it says you were bringing the people thing. I was going to bring more of the business thing that I think I've noticed a huge difference, totally different direction. But one of the advice that I would give entrepreneurs, because shout outs to Mo that helped us with this connection. But one of the things that I think that I would suggest to people that are starting a business right off the bat is finding the right people around you and not trying to do everything yourself. I think we did that for a long time. And then I think we took I'm talking specifically about Mike and our branding and stuff like that. I think when we found the right person and kind of redid our branding more professionally and stuff like that, our business took a huge step in the right direction. What is that noise? Do you hear that?
I don't know. I think it's maybe the furnace.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it is. Sorry about that. Yeah, so that's one of the things, I think we went too long. In hindsight, if I were to give advice to someone that was just starting out, I would suggest those things like website and the way things look, and it is very important when you're doing your stuff. And I think we, in hindsight, I'm happy with the way things rolled out, and everything happens for a reason. But if I was giving advice to someone that was just starting out, I would say maybe if you have the money, pay for the pro and try not to do everything yourself, especially the way you're branding yourself and stuff like that, because I think it does make a difference. And I've seen that since our move to Durham and our rebranding and stuff like that. I think it's really helped.
Yeah.
So that'd be a small thing that's just it's not relational or anything, but just business wise,
Right. Totally. I agree. It's a good point.
So that would be one thing. Anything from the business side that you could think of that is more business instead of relational? If I were hey, Andrew, I'm looking to start this business.
My mind always goes so relational. My
Yeah.
mind, because I'm actually 2 steps back about that question about like growing up and the things that you went through. So my mind was there, but business wise, yeah, not if you have the investment and you have an opportunity to sort of bring on some professionals to give you the launching point. The only problem with that is that in the early stages and even still now, your business can shift and shake and change and evolve so quickly.
That's very true,
That
yeah.
you might invest something that's substantial and it might change.
That's
so you'll
true.
be reluctant to change because you've invested so much.
That is a true point. We've
So,
redone our website like maybe 6 times
Yeah,
since we started.
I would say that. So take everything with as a grain of salt. Like it really is a walk,
Yeah,
you know, and you can kind of veer left and
That's
right,
true.
and it's not. There's no perfect way.
definitely. That is
Yeah.
very true because I don't know if we would have it if we didn't walk through it, like the vision of what we wanted. So that's a good point. I never thought about that. I just think about how long it took us to get to where we are, to where we're happy. And I'm like, okay, it took us like 9 years to get to this point. But it's a very true point. I don't think we would have had the vision at that point in the first or second year because we were still evolving as a company. So
Yeah,
Good point, Andrew.
Business
Never thought of that.
wise, too. Other things, aesthetics really matter. Professionalism really matters.
yeah,
I think I was always mindful of that, but the importance of that is growing with my understanding
Yeah.
and my awareness of just having whether it's your space or your coaches or you looking presentable and being
on time.
on time and punctual. These are the things that are the culture of how you do things day to day. And I think that is something that can't be switched overnight. But I would say to someone or looking back, it's important. It's so important to be on time. It's important to finish on time. And if you don't, acknowledge it and say, hey guys, we're running 5 minutes behind. I want to let you know. We've got one more station. I'm using a small example. If you got to go, I totally understand and acknowledge it. And my apologies, I'm running 5 minutes back. Little things like that,
Yeah.
I think to me are professional. It's integrity, and those things are important. And just looking back at just the importance of continuing to develop that and continuing to share that with people around you or the team.
Yeah.
Those things, I think people notice them, and I think you yourself notice them when you put your head on the pillow at the end of the night. It's the little things for sure. I heard Drew Brees say something when I was in university. I'll never ever forget this quote. It's like a pretty simple quote too, and it's kind of like mainstreamy a bit, but it really meant something to me, and it still does today. He said, someone asked him like, how have you been the starting quarterback, and like how have you sustained this kind of, he's the first one in the building, last one to leave, and kind of this mentality to like really go that extra mile. And he said, well, every single time you cut a corner that maybe doesn't make a big deal, right? But over time, the cut corners accumulate and they're massive. So when you look at it, an accumulation over time, 5 minutes late, 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, that's like hours late. Or, not doing something. We're still learning that because I'm still dropping the ball in many ways, and I'm aware of that quote from Drew Brees because it encourages me to want to be better with the small things because over time they accumulate to make a big difference.
Yeah.
And it's true, and it's the same thing with working out. And I see this all the time in class, and I do get on the members for this, and even my own workouts myself. It's like you got 5 yards left
Yeah.
in this burpee broad jump drill.
Yeah.
Okay. You got 5 yards. Say you've done burpee broad jumps for 40 meters and you've got literally 3 meters to go.
Yeah.
That's one more burpee broad jump to finish, to actually go across the finish line. But you stop and you walk the last 3 meters. Why?
It's the mental, and it's not even
It's
the
the
physical thing. It's the mental.
And that to me shows, okay, this is an opportunity to help this person build their character and mental like approach to a workout.
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause I'm still growing in that.
Yeah, it
It's
happens,
like,
yeah.
why are we stopping? or in a rush class, we got 30 seconds to go all out.
Yeah.
We are going to the very last second, squeeze every second out.
Yeah.
Why are we stopping with 5 seconds to go? I mean, you got in your car here and drove over. You got your kid. You got a babysitter for your kids. You drank water all night to be hydrated, and you're gonna come here and stop 5 seconds early. I'm not mad at you. I'm just trying to help you see. Let's squeeze every second out. And those are the Drew Brees sort of cut corners over time. They make a big difference.
Yeah. It's a great point. It's more of a mental exercise than in the physical. It obviously helps in the physical to go that one more thing, but it's more of like a mental break, like a mental thing.
Yes,
break
totally. And like I said, I'm still learning that. Even with my sessions with patient, I'd say my biggest weakness that we've seen is just like my ability to focus and kind of go to the end and have that same intensity the whole workout, putting my phone away, like these little things that I'm still working on.
Yeah.
So it's real. It's a real thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another question for you. What is one thing about entrepreneurship that you didn't expect that when you started that you've realized now?
Was that the first question too?
No, advice. This is like something that you didn't know. Like,
Yeah. There is. Ask the question again because this might be a good soundbite. Sorry, because we can do it over again. It's a really good. It's a really good question.
It's hard to phrase, but what is one thing that you didn't expect that you now learned about entrepreneurship? That like when you started, you were like, okay, you maybe envisioned what it would be like, but you didn't. Now that you've done it, you never thought.
Yeah.
Never expected.
Be very firm with your vision and your conviction and what you believe, but be very loose on the pathway to get there. Mm-hmm. Have loose hands around the path getting there. The unexpected is constant.
Yeah.
And the roadblocks or the opportunities are endless. So if you have something that resides deep within you that you are like you said, from day one, you always had this belief that what we're doing, you had no idea how that would look or how we would get there. And that's a case in point of entrepreneurship, the truth that maybe people don't talk about it very much, but loose hands. Be loose with how you're going to get there.
It's funny because we talk every day. We talk about the future. We talk about what we want to do. I am trying to think of like all the major steps that we have taken in the business, and it probably never was the way that we first envisioned it would work out, right? Like going to Durham, going to TTC, going to the Dome, coaches, finances, all that stuff. Like I don't think we ever drew up a plan, the two of us, and it worked out to the T, like exactly.
Never once. Never. Yeah. That's never happened, ever.
Yeah.
I mean, even with Durham, we were actually planning to go kind of a different direction as far as neighborhoods, and then Durham happened. Even that, it's just total shift, right?
Yeah.
So just having a loose grip on how you can actually get there is so key.
Yeah.
And being okay with that. That's why maybe it's not for everybody. Maybe some people really need to know every single step, exactly how it's going to happen, but it ain't going to happen like that.
And that can be the tough part because it's like, it's hard to, or it can be a challenge. You don't feel too much. You can do all you can, but like we said, like everything that happened probably wasn't the way we envisioned it. So you kind of feel like it isn't in your control. You can do your best, but you never know what's going to happen. And that unknown, you have to be okay with the unknown, which is something that I'm learning to be okay with. You know what I mean? Very challenging part of. Well, nothing is for sure, right? Like when you have a regular job, or when you're working for someone, or working at an office, working for the government, that's still not secure. But there is like a little bit more security. I guess I don't know that even though anything can happen, but really with entrepreneurship, there's like a big element of the unknown, and that's huge. You have to be okay with that. Yeah.
What is something on the flip side that you knew going into it that it really has come into fruition?
The growth part, I think. Stepping out of my comfort zone, it was always like at the beginning, like a big challenge, but something I had to do because I just felt like it was, like you have to like get on the pot. You have to do it, So that was like a huge thing that I I kind of expected, and I've learned to accept and enjoy about the journey. Is I know it's strengthened my character, pushing me into places I wouldn't go without being an entrepreneur, which is really nice. And I know that this is like my purpose, my God-given purpose. I was telling my wife this the other day, is like, I know that this will produce my best self, I feel that in my heart, and I believe that this is what I should be doing. It feels right. So maybe I didn't know that much at the beginning, but I knew that it would force growth, which I think I was maybe at the time not thinking about, but maybe that's like when I was at Ryerson and we were doing all that stuff, I was like lacking that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I remember scrolling on my phone and just as soon as I got to that job, I was just so unchallenged, and I don't think I knew it at the time, but I like that challenge, the growth part.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you?
I always knew that there was never going to be an end goal. Like there's no I always struggled when people have tried to give us advice or have kindly encouraged us to have 15-year sort of the goals are good. It's just like where's your end point? Like where do you want to take this to? Which I don't have an issue with, and I don't think it's a bad way of thinking. I knew going into it wasn't that for me. For me, it was the journey. It was knowing I'm supposed to be in this, and knowing I'm supposed to be doing this. Just like you just said. Yeah. And I have no idea where this thing is going to be in 10 years.
That's an exciting part. But
it is exciting.
It's a two-edged. It can be exciting and sometimes a little bit scary, right? Because you have a family and stuff like that, and you're I'm in it with you right now, right? We're in it together, and we're doing this, but it's very exciting too when you think about it.
Yes. But what is it exciting for? It's exciting because I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. Yeah. I know that this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. But I'm holding loosely to really ultimately what might happen, because it could, honestly, this whole thing could be taken from us tomorrow. And would that suck? It would be brutal. That would suck so much. But this is where we're supposed to be right now. Mm-hmm. And I think that gives me, I'm encouraged by that, knowing that deep down inside. Yeah. I'm encouraged knowing that walking into the doors every day, because if anyone listening to this that's into fitness or is a coach or is in the fitness industry knows that sometimes it's hard to go in each day. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's hard to go coach a class when things are going on in your life. But it's that knowing, it's that belief, this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm convicted, and I'm certain that right now this is where I'm supposed to be. So I'm going to do my best today with what I've been given and be present in this class right now. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to do it again in the next class, and I'm going to take one day at a time. Mm-hmm. So there's a long-term vision as far as I'm excited. I don't know where this is going to go. Let's keep going. That's why I love, like, the truth is that we're not, me and you want to make money, but it's not the priority. It's not the priority of this business we're not just trying to build a business and then just sell it one day. I can tell that truthfully on this podcast that we never even talk about that. What we talk about is being in this together, in building something, and our character is being built with this business. Yeah. We're married, we've got kids. We are two regular guys that have stepped into this by faith, and we're walking one day at a time. Yeah. And that's exciting to me. I don't know where this is going, but I like what we've built. Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah. And I give a lot of people credit, and around us, God, there's so many supportive things around us, and we couldn't have done this alone. But me and you are rocking every day together. We're doing this, and I'm excited. And 10 years in, look at the last 10 years, and I thank God for all the ups and downs. Yeah. Because that's where we are today. And I don't have any plans of holding this thing tight and keeping it just to me and you. I know your heart is there too, is to be doing this with people around us.
Yeah.
Our families and our friends and the people that are members. Like, these are people we have relationships with and genuine relationships with, and I'm thankful for each one of those relationships. It's very fulfilling, and it brings a lot of contentment in my life.
And there's like a big desire to continue to refine it and make it better, which is
right. You should touch on that, man. Because that what you just said is the juice. Share a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's the conversations we have every day, and sometimes like we have many ideas how to try to make it better, and I think we've been doing a pretty good job of leading that vision and making it better since we started. But that is like what keeps us awake at night, kind of, and you know, I was just telling Andrew the other day when we were driving over, like I was up till Jonah woke up at like 3. And I was up from like 3 to 4:30 thinking about this idea. And I'm just sitting in bed thinking about this idea. And it's just like the vision of like what it looks like. And there's like, it's so far out and there's so many like variables that would have to happen. But this is what like drives me and gets the juices flowing. And I think about, and maybe like, maybe too much. Sometimes I feel like it's like, it can like, it's overwhelming how much it goes in the head, and but it's a blessing. It's a blessing, and sometimes it makes me a little bit forgetful in like some of the other aspects, because it's just like it's such a important thing to me, and I'm always trying to think about how to make it better, how to grow it, how to, you know, yeah.
And it's you're imagining. The root of it all and the vision of it all is you're imagining the people in the space. How do you make it better for the people? And that's the engine.
Yeah.
That's good.
And that's super fun.
It is.
It is exciting. It's fun. And yeah.
Okay. So I think it's been probably a good 45 minutes. Yeah.
47 minutes. Yeah.
47 minutes, which is crazy. Let's wrap it up as far as the anniversary goes. Where, as the 10th year starts, literally this month.
Yeah.
It was February, March. What does the next 10 years look like? Because we just finished saying we take one day at a time. But what are you hoping for? What direction are you going in?
Honestly, man, when you say next 10 years, that's the exciting part where I'm like, holy smokes, I have no clue. Because we have different ideas all the time. And like we said, like sometimes our ideas are usually not the ones that actually come to fruition, right? So the exciting part is, you know, so much can happen in a short period of time. I've seen a lot happen in the last year. And I have no idea where the next 10 years is going to go, but I know it's like our passion is to make the service better. And I'm definitely not going the other way. I'm going to continue to try to evolve it, make it better. And, yeah, I don't know where that goes, but if that involves like adding services to the product, more locations, I don't know. I have no idea. I have some ideas, but I'm not going to spill them on the podcast because it's just like I don't think it's the right time to do that. But what about you? What do you think?
Next 10 years, like I go like taking one day at a time for sure. I agree with you. I don't know what exactly it looks like. I would say refining what we're good at.
Yeah.
You know, our signature classes, the things that we're good at, the strength classes, all the things that we've done well, continue to do them well.
Yeah.
Continue to clean up the things that where we're dropping the ball to.
Yeah.
And what are like simple things that we can clean up through delegation or empowering? I think that like the near future, even though now, is to continue to think like that. So that the experience of people coming through our doors, it's not so much about the little things that are maybe throwing them off or throwing us off. It's their experience is, it's a clean professional experience every time they come in, so that we can do what we're best at, which is relationship, which is fitness, and focusing on the people in front of us rather than the little things that can hold us back from that. So the next 10 years, I think I see a lot of sharpening in that sense. And then I think it's a fitness company.
Yeah.
Fitness is is a really cool industry because it involves wellness, it involves recovery, it involves sports, it involves youth,
Yeah.
it involves also longevity for maybe the
Mental health. It's
mental
a lot
health.
of different things.
So kind of focusing on some other mainstream, very, very strong stream things in the fitness industry that we haven't fully jumped into yet
And want to.
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to say is like that's one the encompassing thought that I had while you're talking is this is the reason why I love entrepreneurship so much, because there's a freedom to it that is so exciting that
Yes.
10 years we have no idea, but like there's nothing stopping us from trying to do whatever we want.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I love that feeling of like we're not bound by anything, and we can turn.
We can do it. Yeah. We can do whatever.
Yeah, I
That
love,
me and you are on the same page about it, and that
course.
our team is on the same page, and our community, if it serves the community, if we feel convicted and right about it, yeah, there's opportunities left, right, and center.
That's what I love of it, and that's true with any entrepreneur.
Yes.
and that's the one thing I really love about entrepreneurship is that freedom of that.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. That part is really exciting to me.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Well said, man. That's really good to hear.
You never know-
Refreshing to hear.
You never know who you're going to meet, what they're going to, what you guys are going to talk about, how things can evolve and stuff like that. And
Never
that's
know.
endless, right?
You never
I
know.
love that stuff.
One of the things that we will be doing in the future, and I think really in the short-term future, is focusing on the younger generation as well. The reason why, you could say a million things about why it's healthy to teach kids the importance of physical activity and stuff, but I'll say this, and as we're getting ready to close, is a big part of where I am today is you and my parents and family and friends around me. But I look back at my childhood, and I had the privilege to play sports.
Me too, yeah.
It's a real privilege. I had the privilege of being in sports, and I think the gym and fitness can serve that same purpose. So what we want to do with resilience is give kids that experience that maybe are already playing sports or maybe aren't playing sports.
Yeah.
They're going to come into our gym. We will be developing a kids program and youth program that has this intention, which is to bring the resilience effect that affects the people that are adults in our class, and we build people up. Iron sharpens iron. We want to help them leave the gym that may be better or feeling more confident and encouraged in the way they came in. We want to do the same thing for the next generation.
Yeah.
And I got kids now, they're a little young, like they would be able to do the classes and stuff, but these kids and these youth all around us, they need this.
Yeah.
They need this environment, and I'm sure and certain that we are going to, now that we're a little bit more established in what we do and stuff, this is a big focus of resilience. The future is providing that framework for the next generation, the younger kids. We're not just for adults. We're for kids and youth as well. So I'm excited how that's going to look and evolve.
Yeah. Sports has been, for my life, and I know for years we've talked about it, like one of the easiest way to make connections with people is through sport and stuff like that. And that was my experience growing up. It's camaraderie. It's all that you kind of working towards something, and it's how I met a lot of friends growing up, and it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
We gotta end the podcast. We're running out of time here. That was a cool one.
It was great.
Yeah.
There probably could be a part 2 in the future, but thanks for joining us.
Yes.
We got to get going. And the next podcast, we're looking forward to it.
Oh yes, guys! Before I end, if you watch this before tomorrow, we have a live podcast. Actually, it probably won't even be posted before then, but I'm still going to mention it. We are interviewing Dylan Scott of High Rocks. He won High Rocks Vegas. I'm going to be interviewing him tomorrow on Instagram Live at 11 a.m. So tune in for that. I'm super excited to talk to him, hear about his training, hear about everything that he's doing. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for the next episode. We'll see you next time.